Welcome to Inside Running on Tab Radio Racing and Sports.
Magnificio races to the lead, getting through Waterman's Bay. Magnificio narrowly from Waterman's Bay.
Our team will evaluate each race, interview leading contenders, and update Tab Touch markets.
But now Delicacy, here she comes. Delicacy under the 59 went to Neverland and Real Love Dark Musket. It's Delicacy against the inside. Sublime, brilliant, greatness in the cup.
We trust you will enjoy this edition of Inside Running. Now, over to the team for their look at today's meeting.
19 is what we're heading for today, and some clearing showers. It was bucketing earlier, that much I know, and should be clearing by this afternoon at some stage, with west to northwesterly winds turning southwesterly later this morning. It is 2 after 8, time for Inside Running. We welcome the panel, led by Darren McAullay. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Matty McDermott, as well. Always enjoy that interaction there with our boys up there in Queensland with their racing coverage. Nothing out of Metro Sydney today, though.
No, they're off.
I understand it's
poured down there too.
Fairly persisting over there. So that meeting has been abandoned today, which probably gives this coverage here, the Amelia Park Belmont Guineas, a lot more airtime, one would imagine, without it being here. And I'm very delighted to say that in the studio this morning, as we always find him, on the opposite side of this desk to yours truly, is Digby Beacham, hiding away behind a monitor somewhere there. G'day, Diggs.
Very good morning to you, Darren, Matt, and listeners. Great to be here on this dreary Saturday morning.
Good to have you here with us today. And also off the bench in the last few hours is the big fellow, the red man, casting a gigantic footprint here in the studio. Michael Heaton, good morning to you, and thanks for coming in. It was at short notice today. Unfortunately, Scotty couldn't be with us today with a family illness there. His dear grandfather, who's been battling illness for quite some time there, and Scott deciding to head up to Geraldton to catch up with his grandfather today. So we wish them all the very best of luck.
Yeah, morning, boys. Absolutely. The great man, Georgie. There at in Geraldton. So all the best to Scott and his family. Difficult time, no doubt. But
you'd like a horse as tough as George, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Oh, geez, he's kicked a few times, so he's done extremely well for himself. But a pretty good meeting today. Really good depth to some of these fields. So I've tipped each way in a lot of races today.
There is a bit of value.
The Belmont Guineas is a full field plus an emergency. It's going to be interesting the way this track unfolds. We haven't had a huge amount of rain, I guess.
Well, the track's holding up all right.
I was initially surprised with only a soft 5, but as you mentioned off air, there probably hasn't been a huge amount, but whether we get a downgrade later in the program remains to be seen, but should be a good day out there.
It was only raining on Matty McDermott's parade en route in here this morning. So it's a card here where we could finish up finding a little bit of value. Can I just, off the top, extend two big birthday wishes, Diggs, to the GOAT. This morning turns 51. D. Oliver. Today.
Happy birthday, Ollie.
Yep, from all of us here. I don't know whether or not he's here or listening in, or no doubt there'll be somebody that's going to pass the message on, but from everyone here in WA, our Hall of Famer, our GOAT, D. Oliver, 51 today. Did he retire prematurely, do you think, Diggs, at 51? Seems so young.
It is young. It is young, but he knows better than most how he was tracking.
Makes me feel old.
Well, you are old.
Correct. That's the first winning you've tipped today.
One for one.
Only one. Hey, by the way, and Luke Campbell's having a birthday as well. Yeah.
He's not old.
No, he's only starting out.
Yeah. He's a young man.
He's at base camp.
Yeah, he's at the foot of the mountain.
At the very moment too. And they tell me the barrier attendant extraordinaire, the man who has told many that he made Rogan, Josh Max Roney, might be celebrating a birthday as well today. Diggs, can you find out, dig a little deeper there with Slapsy Maxie, your golfing mate?
Yeah, I'll message Pepsi and see whether it is indeed his birthday.
Okay, just find out. I've had a rumour sent to me that it could well be, and not that he wanted his name mentioned.
Too late.
Imagine, Diggs.
Yeah.
He doesn't mind it too, and he gets his name splashed out on the airwaves.
Exactly.
Quite enjoys it there. Anyway, we've got an 11:24 start this morning. Out and about, nice and early here for the Amelia Park Belmont Guineas for the day, as the boys have covered off there. They think it's an even type of a program there, and we might be able to dig deep and find a little bit of value out there. Let's hope that that is the case indeed, because we're on soft 5 ground at this stage. Overcast, bit of rain activity still around the metropolitan area, and the rail is true. just before I get into the scratchings, I worked a function last night at the fabulous Hyatt Hotel here, Diggs, and it was for the Cabinet Makers Association of WA's annual awards dinner. And what a great group of people, I might say that they are. A few of them have got a very, very keen interest in horse racing, but I was surprised to know, Diggs, that your fan base out there is extraordinary. That many of these punters wanted to tap on the shoulder and contribute to the show via the text line through the course of the week. I actually got to put some faces to the names of these folk.
Right.
So now we know who they are.
Well, as long as
They love your show. They love you and Timmy, and they say, can you please pass on our best? We enjoy making a contribution to it. We've got the burglar from Bayswater, who's a regular too. He is always there, but he was there last night. Didn't realise that he was a cabinet maker. But anyway, it's nice to know some of the people that are listening to this station here, and they're a really good bunch too, and well done to everyone at the CMA last night. It was a huge event, great night, and they should all be commended as well. There's some very gifted craftsmen within our community, that is for sure, and many of them work within that association. Righto, the first event, 11:24. This morning, the Tab Touch Westby Platinum Handicap. We start the day on a clear slate. No changes here to race number 1. Race 2 on the card. And this is the WA Racehorse Owners Association plate. And the agency comes out, part owned by one of the guests and winners of one of the awards last night there. Sammy White there did very, very well with his group. And unfortunately, he'll have to wait until Wednesday to see the horse that he part owns with friends, the agency, going around, which is nommed for the midweek card from the Trevor Andrews stable, so not running this afternoon. The agency is out. The third race on the card is the free entry to Belmont Park Handicap, and here we take out number 3, More Special, 4, Ayumi, 8, Home James. 3 scratchings, numbers 3, 4 and 8. That becomes a pay 1-2 only in the third. Race 4, the running of the Key Clean Handicap over 2,200 metres. Number 4, Mr. Popcorn, has been withdrawn. The one omission there out of the fourth. In race 5, the Unite Resourcing Handicap. This race is clear of any changes. Race number 6 on the card, the Bisley Workwear, and that also is clear. 12 to do battle. To race number 7 on the card, the Spirit of Racing Awards nominations now open handicap. Number 1, Blue Lagoon, has come out. Race 7, number 1, Blue Lagoon, and also you can take out numbers 15, Sky Talker, 16, Kermit's Luck, and as a result, the Emergency Arrow Swift has gained a start and has gained the services of Jay Whiting. Arrow Swift, Jay Whiting there in race 7. The running of the Amelia Park Belmont Guineas, our listed 3-year-old feature, over the 1600 today at 3:53, and the one scratching will be number 17. It's a King when they declare them official here. Not getting a start, 16 capacity will go to the starter in the Guineas. And the last event, winding it all up at 4:30 on the program, and we've also got a big field there to round out the day without changes. 15 will do battle. So that's a look at those that have been withdrawn. Any riding updates there accordingly for the meeting at Belmont Park with an 11:24 start. It's just hit 10 minutes after 8 o'clock and it's hit 16 degrees in the Perth metropolitan area. You're listening to Inside Running on this Saturday morning. We'll be back with Matt McDermott steering the ship here on the other side of this to take a look at the first. Amelia Park Belmont Guineas Day, the 3-year-olds will highlight the card, but we will start it off with a Tab Touch Westby Platinum Handicap over the same journey as the Guineas. The metric mile, 1600 at 11:24 this morning without scratchings. Let's look at the market surrounding the 10 runners engaged with Matt McDermott.
And Dad's Big Headed is $10, open at 8, 11 into 650, Allegro Sonata. Bell's Journey is at 11, out from 850. Hitting $4 is Love a Session from $3.90. The fave is Wonder Weapon. Got out to $2.15, back into $1.90. 101 Who by Fire. Blazing Kazar $71. Smoke and Barrels at $23. 18 for Buckland and Strawberry Mist at $81.
Well, is this the day for Wonder Weapon to finally put a victory on the board? It seems to be a general consensus. Dan Morton here saddles her up for the fourth time in this campaign. She now gets to 1,600 metres. She comes through form that we'll be looking at, no doubt, a little bit later on in the Guineas. And she also gets a set of cups on as well, blinkers today. So is this the day there that Wonder Weapon can return into the winners list?
I think so, but boy, oh boy, she's short enough. Like, you look at her and Love a Session, who are both in the market for obvious reasons. Between them, they've had 31 starts for 2 wins and 18 placings.
Where did you think Wonder Weapon lands from the draw?
Well, that's the concern for mine. Shades on, out to a mile. I actually don't know. But
Sniff of being 3 deep, isn't she?
Perhaps, but off what we saw a fortnight ago and the opposition she encounters today, I'm not sure the map
is that relevant?
Yeah, yep. That's exactly right, Michael. You just think her class should carry her a very long way here.
Yeah, 100%. 2 starts ago, she split My Jimmy, who went to the Raconteur and is now in the Belmont Guineas, and Antique Miss, a subsequent winner, was behind her. Then last start, she was awfully close to Love and War, who goes around a winning chance in the Belmont Guineas today.
Absolutely.
And another Belmont Guineas runner and I Dream to Dream ran third. So it's lengths above her opposition here in terms of a strength of form, and perhaps even if she is 3 deep, she might just still be too strong for them because her opposition... Well, look, I actually thought Allegro Sonata was the main danger.
Well, the more rain, the better the prospects, because she is a universal ruler, has good form on rain-affected ground, has great form at 1,600, very
Absolutely.
competitive mare, and I reckon that she's in a wheelhouse here at the mile. Rising in class, but gee, the soft draw, and there is support.
Yep.
There is support. She opened $11 in the market, and
big price.
They've crunched her. She's into around $6.50 now. So this has been a good go, and I would think that because of the conditions, the fact that we are on soft 5 ground, and if there is any more rain out there, I'm not quite sure whether there is or there isn't, but this will do for Allegro Sonata as well. I tapped onto the coattails of Wonder Weapon. I've tipped her a couple of times in a 3 run so far. She hasn't quite delivered, but I think that she might be able to get through this today, all things being equal, just with a bit of luck on her side. I went 5 and 2, Allegro Sonata, then Belle Journey, which won a mile 2 starts ago in a class 5, as again one of those that needed to be included in the mix, and Love a Session, who has been a little bit costly for those that have been backing it, beaten favourite at its past 2 starts. A gear change made by the Durant stable, hitting a bit of form during the course of the week too, the Adam Durant yard, and Pike retaining the ride there. So I'm going to go Diggs 5, 2, 3, 4, but how do you see the first?
Similar, Darren. I think it's a pretty popular set of numbers, those 4 horses. I went 5, 3, 2, 4, not much more to add. I just feel that Wonder Weapon, perhaps Lucy, just rides this mare quite confidently, rides her like the best horse in the race, and I think off what we've seen, as Michael touched on, the run behind My Jimmy and certainly the most recent effort behind Love and War, who we will touch on in the listed Belmont Guineas later on this morning, is sufficient for her to be winning a second race here. So 5 on top from 3 Belle Journey, 2 Allegro Sonata and 4 Love a Session.
Same 4, different order, 5, 2, 4 and 3 for me. I thought Allegro Sonata was the value and the main danger.
Right, a bit like my bowling, not a lot of variation, Matt.
I agree. 5, 3, 2, 4. I'm the same, I meant, from Digby. 5, 2, 4, 3 from Michael, and 5, 2, 3 and 4 from Mac. In the second, this is at a minute to lunch, the WA Racehorse Owners Association plate. And 1,000 metres with Kundal $5, Scenic George 18, Southern Scandal $7.50 now. Down to 5, Cashflow, who's at 41 fixed, into 350 September Born, into 11 Skullbone and Pig, 6 for Duet. Sunshine Tafe at 16, into $4 God She's Sassy, and 2 Flies is at 34.
Yeah, I can hear some chuckling in the background there about the name of Skullbone and Pig, which I think is a very unique name, and it has been a talking point, but not many know the great history of the Skullbone and Pig Society, which, of course, hosts, and it's an international organisation, the Skullbone Pig Society. It was born in the old Dart centuries ago, But of course, it's been famous in the Kalgoorlie round as having the pig and whistle on the Sunday morning. That's where it all comes about. Right. The Skullbone and Pig Society conduct the pig and whistle. You do very well there, Matty.
Boulder Cup morning.
Yes, it is and has been, and it's an institution. And David Reid has been one of the great driving forces of the modern era.
Invite only.
Invite only, yes, and I don't think you get an invite in consecutive years. You've got to wait your turn. It's such a popular event. And that's a little bit of the history behind the Skullbone and Pig Society, and it happens to be owned by the Reids, including David. So well done, good name, talking point. That's what we like to see, a bit of creativity out there. Don't know whether it can win here on debut. There might be one who can, and that's the well-related colt that Neville Parham's had a fair bit of success with in the family, and that is September Morn. What have you made here of the brother to KC?
I think his trials have been encouraging, Darren. He probably, and unsurprisingly, he's probably not a push-button 2-year-old. He doesn't launch out of the gates, find the rail and kick. But what he does do, he travels well, and he's got a turn of acceleration. And we've seen that in the 4 trials to date, Michael. And in what is a pretty even juvenile affair, he looks like he can make a winning start to his career.
Yeah, out of a McFlirt mare as well, so the track shouldn't be an issue for him, and the trials have been quite good. When I watch trials, I like to not look at the field before I watch them, and then watching that most recent one, I thought, geez, the winner trial pretty good, and then had a look afterwards, and it was Repossession, of course, who came out and won on debut as 1-for-1, so the format of that trial has been pretty strong. But
I like the professional nature of the way that September Born was able to get through that after being back a touch and then getting through the last part of the trial really well, beaten by Repossession, who we know has got some ability.
Yep.
But I do agree with your point. It should grow a leg being out of a McFlirt mare any time that there's rain around. Any horse that used to be by McFlirt, or in more modern times out of McFlirt mares, they just seem to go so well. But I think across the board, this is an even race. So
absolutely.
I wouldn't be diving head on into one in particular. I thought there might have been a bit of value in this race.
Yeah, well, I thought it was a really even affair as well, and I ended up siding the way of Kerndall, who is the only winner in the race in what's otherwise a glorified maiden. The run at 50-1 on debut was much better than reads on paper, ran better than finishing 8th, was really looming into the race and just got chopped out and held up after that. Ran a nice second against Older Company down the straight, second up, and then beat God She's Sassy when he did a few things wrong in the straight as well. And
yeah, Lou has corrected that. Well, he's attempting to correct that with a near side blinker.
Yeah, but he should get a lovely run from the draw, and he's each way in a field of maidens. So from that perspective, I'm happy enough to be with Kerndall here.
Okay, well, I know that Lou would love to think that he had a horse half as good as the original Kerndall, because it was a potential superstar before its untimely passing. But this one's a nice one developing there. There's one underneath of it, Scenic George, who's been placed at 2 of 3, and I am a little surprised it's at the price it currently is at $18. It's getting out further and further. It's a Snippet Sun, and they love the wet as well. It's already been placed on it. I thought it brought a bit of experience into this here. And when you start looking at West Star Repossession, last start in particular, 4 deep, very, very hard run. The start before, it was in a photo for second behind West Star. West Star won that race comprehensively, and Scenic George wasn't far away. It's drawn a gate. It'll come out of barrier 4, and it's fit. It's fit. I just think at $18 there, it might not win the race, but I think it'll run very competitively. And I finished up going with Scenic George just from a point of difference over September Born and Kerndall. It could be a nice trifecta play there. And I'm not quite sure what to do now. Here I was awfully bullish with God She's Sassy down at Bunbury on debut after that near 10-length barrier trial win for Dave Harrison. She drops back into 1,000 today. Harrow has elected to take the shades off immediately, and that could have an impact. And I think the feedback that he received from the Pontiff that particular day is that, look, you know, she might be a 1,000-metre horse.
Yes, I spoke to David that day at the races as well, and the whole family, I think, were 1,000-metre types, and she had to do a bit of work early, rolled along, and then was gunned down late. So I think
beaten by Kerndall,
of course, and who I'm tipping here, and coming out of that back straight trial as well, Lark Hill perhaps would have needed it as well. So I think she could be a sharp improver here back to 1,000. I actually had her in for second.
Okay, well, whilst you're there, then punch the numbers in there and see how they come out.
Tricky race, but I've settled with 1, 10, 3 and 6. I think Koondal's just good value with the slight gear change to hopefully correct him. He's each way the only winner in the field of maidens. So I'll go his way from 10 in God She's Sassy, 3 in Southern Scandal. Should be able to find the rail in front this time around and doesn't have West Star to have to face. And the debutant, 6 September Born, next best, 1, 10, 3, 6.
And you, Diggs?
Yeah, I like what I've seen at the trials from September Born. I don't think there's any superstars that he is meeting today on debut, and if he goes there and replicates what he's done at the trials, I think he's awfully hard to beat. So 6 to make a winning start to his career, the full to KC from 1, Koondal. I take your point there in regards to this fellow. That most recent win was good, gets that near side shade today and has drawn a gate and carries the same way as he did when winning down there at Bunbury. 10, God She's Sassy, I think is spot on. She just needs to be ridden for speed. And 8, Arduette, who gets back here off a freshen. Back there on the 11th of May at her most recent outing, ran second to Street Band, and that's pretty good form. 6, 1, 10 and 8.
Might be as good a form as you could probably find there, really, in race number 2, but it's a very even affair. I'm going to go very, very wide there. I'm not suggesting here that Scenic George could win the race, but maybe at the value you could have something on it around $18 there this morning, bringing that experience here to the guide to beat number 6 September Born or 1 Koondal, and then 10 in God She's Sassy, 2, 6, 1 and 10.
So Koondal, the tip from Mick at $5, 10, 3, 6 the minor. Digby with the September Born number 6 to beat 1, 10 and 8. Max gone Scenic George, who's at $18, number 2, 6, 1 and 10. In the third race, which is at 12.34, free entry to Belmont Park Handicap. They go 1,000 metres without 3, 4 and 8. Final Siren, it pays 1 and 2, the third as well. Final Siren's into $1.80, out to $7 at Ginnivan, 8 for Bolter. Chop Suey into $9.50, hit the jackpot 41, down to If I Didn't Have a Dime at 21, and $4.20 now for Magic Ash.
Okay, back to the 7. We're into a pay 1, 2 in this particular race over the short course, and the favourite here, of course, is Final Siren at $1.80, and recently transferred to the yard of Michael Lane, Digby, as well. We saw this horse first up too from a break after running in the breeders down at Bunbury through the autumn. Brought some very good form to Ascot from the Great Southern, of course, before then. And from barrier, where will it draw here today? It'll come now out of gate 6. Does Ginnivan lead? Does Final Siren press on, test it?
It'll be interesting to see what they elect to do with Ginnivan.
Bully it out of it.
Well, he's got sustained speed, Final Siren. We know that. But I think if Ginnivan is to have any hope of causing an upset here, they need to ride him for pure speed as well, Michael. You've got a gate that is inside the top weight who has to carry 60. You'd like to think if you're rolling and he's having to sit outside you under a big weight, maybe, just maybe, you can take him down. If they hand up, I think they're in all sorts.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think Ginnivan's best chance of winning the race would be to find the rail in front, but Final Siren's pretty quick.
He's very quick.
I wouldn't put it out without the realms of possibility that he can cross still. He, as you say, he's got that sustained speed and he can do it at both ends. He's sectionally, he's certainly a stronger horse both at the front and back ends than Ginnivan. Well, the sectionals reflect that, and I still think he's going to be pretty hard to beat despite the 60 kilos, only 1,000 metres, and he looks like a horse that should be going on to bigger and better races, I would have thought. But
Rebecca's done a really good job, with these foundations, hasn't she? And I'm not quite sure what the situation is there going.
By all reports, we'll get the horse back next prep. I think for winter, it's a bit tricky to prepare the horse there in Albany.
Astute move.
Yeah, so I think
they've had a great association with Michael's stable.
Well, the Baylesses and Lanes are holidaying at the moment overseas, so
it does make some good sense, doesn't it?
Like to be a fly on the wall there.
Probably get eaten by a big fella. I think they're in Melbourne. I think they're in Bali. No, they were in Bali for a stride, and now I think they're in Melbourne.
Yes, but
Balo might like getting onto a cruise. There's some pretty impressive smorgasbords on there.
It'll still be a good test for Final Siren anyhow, from if he does have to breeze here with the 60 kilos chasing the expected hot speed, but I think he's good enough to be able to do it.
I do too. There's one at the bottom here which is rising in class. I've liked the way that she's gone about things so far. A daughter of Dash for Cash will love these conditions. She's already proven that with a win on Soft and Heavy. And that's Magic Cash. Chris Parnham does take over from Willie today. He'll go on to stay with Final Siren. But I think that she's a progressive type of a filly with Takahide Aikanushi. It's a maiden Class 1 so far, but I like some of the numbers that she's been peeling off in her performances so far. I think that she can elevate to this better level, not suggesting for a moment that she could maybe win this against Final Siren and co, but I think that she'll be right there in the mix. I did go Final Siren. I thought that he would be too strong. I'm not concerned too much with 60. Big horse, big flowing type here, jumps on speed, and I think the point that you made, Michael's absolutely spot on. This is a horse that does it at top to tail. He'll go and sustain that pace pretty much right from the word go. I think he'll, if he has to sit outside of Guinevere, put it away ultimately in the straight. Bolter, I thought, worked to the line well in the King's Honour race last start, and I like, as I say, Magic Cash the way it's going along. So I'll be marking them down 1, 2, 5 and 10 there for me.
Carbon copy for me, 1, 2, 5, 10.
No bravery awards for putting Final Siren on top. He's a tip, no bet, but think he goes there today and backs up what he did there earlier this month. From 10 Magic Cash, 2 Guinevere and 6 Chop Suey. 1, 10, 2, 6.
So the tips, Michael, 1, 2, 5, 10. Repeat for Mac, 1, 2, 5, 10. Digby is 1, 10, 2 and 6. We're off to a break now at...
Minutes away from 9 o'clock here on Inside Running this Saturday. It started off a little bit dreary outdoors there. Forecast was for the rain to ease by around mid-morning. We're on a soft 5 if you've just joined us for the Guineas Day coverage from Belmont Park. And we are looking at race 4 now. This is the Key Clean handicap over 2,200. Number 4, Mr. Popcorn, won't be going around there. Matt, what are the situations here involving a few of these in the market to race number 4?
Strike Now currently at $3.80, Tenakutu at 21, into $3 Satino, down to Tallangatta at $11.34 Bamblin Boy, Truly Reliables into $10.51 Chuck-a-Luck, Django Dream 34 into $9.50 Magic Whistle from 15, 81 Pilot Recalled at 7, out from $4.80 and $14 for Sluice Box.
Okay, so it's Satino that sits on top of the market and has been so consistent for Mickey G. Michael doing a terrific job with the horse, pushing him on out to a middle distance. He's had a couple of runs there, including that close second to Fat Roy Slim when he looked home for all intents and purposes, but for the brilliant performance of both Fat Roy Slim and Willie Pike there that day. And then last start, Strike Now getting the better of him, who he does meet on better weight terms this afternoon too. So what do you make of Satino's prospects? Obviously consistent enough and worthy enough to put in on top. Either.
I found this a tricky race because Strike Now rises in weight. But boy, oh boy, I thought it was a good win the other day. Like, it was a good run, and we saw Fat Roy Slim, assume his customary position, dashing up along the fence. But I thought Lucy gave him a 10 out of 10. And again, from that gate today under this way, in this class, she'll ride him pretty similar, I would have thought, Michael.
Pretty good run the start before.
Yeah,
Exactly right. It was a good run. It was indicated that he was going to, pick one up sooner than later, and he did that last start.
He's stiff as well because this race was a 66 plus, and I think Come Right Back may have been the top weight, and then scratched, went to a different race, and then all of a sudden this got rehandicapped to a 63 plus. Yep. So Strike Now's carrying a couple of kilos extra than what he would have normally, but I end up putting him on top still. I think that he'll be in front of his main danger in Satino and getting a similar type of run to his last start, so I think he's good enough to be able to do it again.
A horse you talk about where they're going to be, and Tallangatta's the one that will be in front, one would imagine. 53.5. Maddie Derrick loves getting onto a front runner, rides them well. She'll ping across, find the fence, and it again is coming through the same form, and it ran fourth in the Fat Roy Slim run 2 starts ago. Had 3 weeks between runs and does get 3 kilos now on Strike Now, so it is significant under these conditions this afternoon. I don't know if there's too many winning chances in the race. I mean, in all honesty, I sided with Satino but I don't think that there's that much between its strike now, Talongatta, and I think the other one that you've got to include but hasn't won for quite some time is Recalled. So they're my top four. Not bullish about the race, but I am certainly thinking that maybe consistency can be rewarded for Satino after finding winning form and then has not done all that much wrong subsequently since. So 3, 1, 5, 12.
Talongatta burnt me the other day. I'm probably being a bit harsh with him because he was coming off a setback. He was scratched on course with that hoof abscess the week before, but I thought he was a bit plain late, so I've just tiptoed around him after being really bullish on him last start. But 1, 3, 7 and 12 is the way I went. Strike Now from Satino, I think they're the two. I put in Truly Reliable. Thought it was a good run there at Pinjarra. Hit the line really, really well. Swims, usually has his best performances on a wet track. And 12 in Recalled was a better effort last start. 1, 3, 7, 12.
Same four numbers as you, Darren, just a little bit of a tweak to them. 1, Strike Now to go back-to-back from 3, Satino. For mine, they are the two obvious ones. 12, Recalled, gets a gun, draw, a lovely run throughout here, stays on the min, and 5, Talongatta, your likely leader, under just 53.5 for Maddie. 1, 3, 12 and 5.
Okay, there we are, the numbers that we think might be able to deliver the right result for punters in race number 4, Matt.
And those numbers are 1, 3, 7, 12 Mick, 1, 3, 12, 5 from Digby, 3, 1, 5 and 12 from Darren. That was race number 4 into the 5th race at 11 to 2. Unite Resourcing handicap, and it's over 1,600 metres. No scratchings. Come Right Back is at 34. 850 into 7, Sentimental Hero. 550 into 340, Falcon Trader. 7 back to 650, Savage One after opening at 440. Getting out to $12, Birdie Eagle. Classic Rogue 16 into 8. 16 Speed Dream. West River Miracle opened 6 out to 750 and is now back to 7. 650 Inner Point Atlantis Beach 550. Candlelight Supper and Stylax both 41.
Okay, well, Diggs, we'll fire off with you here. Do you default back to horses who know how to hit the line, who know how to get the job done in races like this?
You certainly...
I'm referring to Falcon Trader here.
Yeah, well, Falcon Trader. You look at a horse like West River Miracle, who didn't get a lot of favours fresh, and
hasn't won for a long time.
No, he hasn't won for a long time, no doubt. But look, it looks a race where there's decent enough tempo here, and some of your leading fancies are going to be settling in a pretty prominent position. I talk of Falcon Trader. You would think that Birdie Eagle box seats from that low draw. Savage One comes across, and you've also got West River Miracle. And then I think if you like Falcon Trader, and there are a lot of people that do, and you can understand why.
I'll be one of them.
The horse that ran behind him up there at Northam, I thought was a terrific effort, that being Atlantis Beach. Now, he is a horse who doesn't win out of turn,
well,
but he went to a mile. He went to a mile off 2 trials.
I know.
First up, and was savaging the line.
Very, very good. Take your point, but it just concerned me that he maybe had not had that will to get to the line. 770 days. I know that they can win. The droughts can be broken, and there's no doubt here if he absolutely brings that same form, he's going to be right there in the mix, Michael.
Yeah, he will be. He'll probably get back to near last again. I thought this was a tricky race. I thought Falcon Trader, while he's absolutely flying, he's won 3 from 4 and he's going well. I thought he was short enough now. Yeah, $5.50 into $3.40.
Well, I just, no doubt, Brett's got him going super, and you know where he's going to be in the run, so that's a positive. I just thought Atlantis Beach gets 2 kilos on him. He's second up. He was going to run last week, but he drew inside, and Cliff wants this horse to draw out. So there was no knock on whether that run took it out of him. He was ready to go to the races last week. So he's had another week. You're getting each way. If they are sort of chopping away at each other and you can make ground, there's a few if, buts and maybes. Yes, I know. I'm happy to side up with Atlantis Beach.
No, okay, I can sort of sense your justification there, and it would have made my cut normally, but just for the fact that you get turned off by certain numbers, and when there's getting out to the long length of period since a horse has won a race, you start to maybe get a few little concerns, but that doesn't stop them from winning eventually one day. I like the fact that, and 4-year-olds this time of the year too, they just seem to really be able to put their stamp on these type of races for whatever reason. There's one 4-year-old in the race. It is Falcon Trader. He's won 6 of 15, so he does know how to get the job done. He's a wet track horse, beautifully drawn. Lucy's in good form too. Michael.
Terrific
You've
form.
had a bit to do with Lucy's resurgence lately there, taking over there, doing her management, and she is in good form. Her confidence is back there again, and I think that they can continue their association. Falcon Trader, I've marked him on top in this race. There's a few others that haven't won for a while too, but like Atlantis Beach, they'll be competitive. Classic Rogue's one of those. West River Miracle, 686 days, hasn't won for a long while. Savage won. Placed 2 or 3 in this campaign, including a last start second to rope them in, no less, but hasn't won for 707 days.
Well, he's the way I've gone, so you won't like my tip because it's been over
it's not a case
700
I don't like
days.
the tip, it's just the fact that the numbers speak
No,
volumes.
absolutely. No, I do agree, but Savage One's an interesting horse. He's a Belmont horse, he's a wet track horse, and he showed something last start. He did place at Geraldton first up, as you mentioned, but last start he got things soft enough, but he still ran second to Rope Them In, who's a very, very smart horse. And going back through, when he was absolutely flying and he strung those winners together and he made a really big progression 2 winters ago, he got to an 85 rater. He got back down to or 84 rater, I think it was. He got back down to a 75 last start, so he's been a beneficiary of the rating system the past 2 years. He's now back to his right sort of grade, he's back to his right weight, and I thought it was a good effort last start. And outside of West River Miracle, I thought he should be able to dictate terms here to a certain extent, Savage One, so I was happy enough to go him each way from Falcon Trader. So I'll rip through my 4, 3, 8 and 6. Savage One from Falcon Trader. 8, West River Miracle, no luck first up. William Pike on now and should be able to sit outside of Savage One. And 6 in Classic Rogue. I think this horse is flying. Probably has to get back, or he potentially even deep, but geez, he's been good, and he's a previous heavy track winner as well, so wetter the better for him. 4, 3, 8, 6.
Yeah, that was the same race that Savage won. You've already referenced to. He came through at Diggs.
Yeah, it's a deep race. It's not a bad mile race, to be fair, but I sided up with Atlantis Beach for the reasons outlined. From 8, West River Miracle, it was a good first up effort. He's a big, strong boy. He appreciates getting his toe in, and you'd think he'd be nice and positive, William, from that gate. 3, Falcon Trader, and 5, Birdie Eagle. 9, 8, 3, 5.
I'll be 3, Falcon Trader, to continue his good strike rate, to beat number 6, Classic Rogue, and 8, West River Miracle. The one that I am going to include also hasn't been mentioned is Sentimental Hero. I know it's a 1600 second up, but the horse loves giving the ground and has gone well at the mile previously too, out of a nice draw. Michael Grantham's yard ticking over effectively as well right at the moment. So 3, 6, 8 and 2, Matt.
Numbers from Michael: 4, 3, 8, 6. Digby 9, 8, 3, 5. Darren is 3, 6, 8 and 2. The first leg of the quaddie at $2.39 for Bisley Workwear, a handicap over 1,200. Multinational out to $10, 41 pants down. Younger Lass is $4.60 back to $4.40. 23 Billy Ray, Pooley at 21. 26 Cash Away. Triple J opened $7.50 before getting to 8, is now into $5.50, and Duchess of Gossip $7.50 into $4.20. 23 Eel Ways, 31 Featherweight. 2 Darty is at $4 in from 5, and 21 Top of the Pops.
Okay, well, Michael, we'll let you go. First cab off the rank.
Tricky
here.
race, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a tricky one.
There is a horse I've been following, well, only had a couple of runs this start, but I thought both were follows, and that's Duchess of Gossip. I think she's
with you. I thought that they had been without luck as well.
Yeah, she's going really, really well. Chris Parnham goes on now, third up. Profiles brilliantly. Track distance, soft track, just the draws sticky, but I'm just hoping she can get 3 deep cover, because if she can, I definitely think she can win this race. Both runs have been Black Booker type of runs, so she is the way I've tipped. But I think Multinational's a big price as well for a horse that gets a really nice claim here. Well weighted considering his form, and probably sits outside a horse like Pooley. Of course, Cashaway wasn't suited last start, first up winner. Younger Lass was won over a fresh trip, which wasn't suitable. 2 Darty's a really nice horse, and Triple J's a really nice horse. So there's a few different ways to look at this, but in the end I sided the way of Duchess of Gossip. I think both of her runs back have been terrific.
Agree for everything that you've been able to unpack in regards to this All-American mare. And I don't think the conditions are going to deter her one iota this afternoon, because she loves a little bit of giving the ground as well. I just think that if even luck happened to go her way, a very good ride, no doubt, be produced by Chris Parnham there, if he can find her back. And I think that she'll have to go back. She is seemingly better, ridden a bit cooler, and being able to be saved up. She has got a a great capacity to sprint there, as her numbers indicate. So I'm going with 8. I thought that Triple J, a winner 2 starts ago, then went 35 days and didn't get much luck. That race we go back to and default to the Rope Them In race. I think it might just stack Triple J in good stead. They're drawn outside alongside of each other there in 9 and 10, Triple J, Duchess of Gossip, but I think that they could be the 2 here. In a very competitive race, Yonga Lass was sharp first up. Whether or not, again, going to the 1200, she can deliver that type of performance once more. And I don't mind a horse who goes okay fresh, and they've not trialled him at all. The stable's just in blistering form in the Goldfields. Peter Fernie, that's Billy Ray. You might get a bit of a run there, but there's others, Diggs, that you could make cases for as well. Which way did you go?
Well, fresh off tipping a horse, hadn't won for 770 days.
What are you doing now?
I'm going... Well, you do your markets.
Yep.
And you know, it's all an opinions game. And a horse who... He's got the blows in the market. But I thought the first up effort was terrific. And that's a horse who hasn't won for 756 days.
It was a great run. I know what you're going to say, yeah.
Meets Yonga Lass 2 kilos better for being beaten a length, low draw. And you go and look at that replay of that race, and I've done so on numerous occasions. 100 metres past the post, Eeyore Ways is well and truly past Yonga Lass. Ran the fastest last 200 of the race, of the meeting. Like we're talking the splits, the 400 and 200 of the meeting were brilliant.
Looked like he was tightened up a little bit too.
Exactly right. He broke 34 and probably just still couldn't be extended.
I don't think anyone's going to be shocked if he happened to win the race.
And he's at what are we now? $23. So I'll go that way each way.
No, you can land on him.
Always. From 3, Yonga Lass. So that's the form reference I'm using. So 9 each way at a big price from 3, Yonga Lass. 11, 2 Darty. I think this horse is a very talented animal. I just don't know where Brandon Louis gets from that gate end or what he elects to do. And 7, Triple J, who you would think is going to be better again here off that fresh and leading into that most recent run. 9 each way from 3, 11 and 7.
Very competitive race, that, Matthew.
Toughest, probably the toughest race of the day. I've gone 8, 1, 3 and 7, so completely different in it, which is no surprise as well. Duchess of Gossip from Multinational. I think he gets a nice run on speed. Wet tracker, well weighted. 3, Yonga Lass, second up 1,200 metres. It'll be interesting to see how she goes after such a brilliant win over the Unsuitable 1,000, whether that has taken the edge off her a little bit. And 7, Triple J. I just fear he might be the 3 deep horse. And I've left out 2 Darty, who's pretty short in the market, but just couldn't map him for the life of me. 8, 1, 3, 7.
Digby 9, 3, 11 and 7. As you heard there from Mick, 8, 1, 3 and 7. Mac, you went 8, 7. What was the third and fourth?
8, 7, and then I loaded 3 and 4 into the exotics.
All right, 8, 7, 3 and 4. So we'll break and come back and look at the last 3, including the features.
Great to have your company on the Saturday morning. It's a wettish start to the day, maybe not the amount of rain that they had predicted. We're on soft 5 ground, all things considered. That's a pretty good result. As we take a look at race 7, the second leg of the quadrilla, the WA Spirit of Racing Awards nominations now open handicap. Blue Lagoon and Sky Talker Kermit's Luck coming out there, 3 scratchings. Jason Whiting is now onto the 17. That's Arrow Swift. This is a good race. It's a competitive race, Matt, and it's got depth.
And Russian Sniper now 750 into 850 Abloh. Linden's Gold 18. 750 now for Californication, feuding at 26, Ultimate Style 31, 650 Interpoint Hibiscus Lady, Dr. J's at 340 from Double Figures, 750 for Playing Games, Valderina at 10, $20 Secret Attraction, Central Force 91 along with Romeo, and then down the bottom to Arrow Swift 126.
Okay, can we start with one who really captured my attention first up down at Pinjarra? Conditions at that particular time of the day weren't great, but gee, the performance of the winner was, and that's Steph Vahala's Dr. J. 3-year-old that hasn't done a lot of racing, very, very sparingly raced at this point, only having its 5th run today. It's second up. It does go to 1400, which always seems to challenge my criteria. But this is one that really impressed me, dropping significantly in weight as well out of a lovely draw. I think that he can come back to the metropolitan area where he had been placed in a 1400 last campaign, and I think have a big impact. What I saw that day, and I'm sure that you would both agree, it was impressive to say the least.
Pretty smart horse by the looks.
Sustained a run, was strong through the line. It had all the hallmarks of a horse who's going to be able to go through his grades, all things considered.
Yeah, they went slow that race, but the way he rounded them up, and he just wasn't suited by the tempo really, but he just did it with ease. I think he's
the horse that he beat
nice
too enhanced that form, and they didn't forget to back it either on Thursday at Pinjarra. That's Lost Gravity, who was able to win.
Diggs, did you have Valderina leading this race? No Kermit's Luck?
Yes.
Yes, and Breeze Horse?
Well, that was the one where I was a little bit concerned with. I wasn't sure.
Russian.
Is there one?
Well, no, there's not. Like, you've got a Hibiscus Lady. I think Brad will be positive.
Yeah.
You know, that
probably 1-1 considering where she landed the other day.
But for mine, there wasn't an obvious Breeze horse.
For that reason, I've actually tipped Valderina.
Yeah.
I think I know she's coming out of West Beat Platinum grade, which is usually a bit of a no-no, but she's also a winner. She's won 3 from her last 5, and I think, was she 3 wide no cover when she placed 2 starts ago as well, and she was only beaten a head or a neck. It was a really game performance. She gets in with a similar weight. She's proven on soft track. She's proven at 1400 metres, and she probably rolls to the top, and I'm sure there'll be some sort of pressure because it's a pretty generous-sized field, but I think she dictates terms here, and she gets out to a really nice each-way price, $10 in fact, so she's double figures. That's the way I've settled, but I do have a pretty good opinion of that Dr. J as well.
Yeah, I do. My opinion's certainly even, I think, got better, stronger about this 3-year-old and what his capabilities really are, and I'm going to be going with Dr. J here as well. They have had a good go at him.
I don't think he needs to be as far back today as he was down there at Pinjarra from that gate. I think he can settle. Different tempo, 1400. You've got Valderina as your likely leader. If not Valderina, perhaps Hibiscus Lady. Playing games will be positive, albeit she probably needs to tick that 1400 metre box. She is an on-speed horse, but you'd think maybe that they'll just look to try and give her a smother early to help her get the 7 furlongs.
Each way play for me, 11, 8, 9 and 10 went the way of Valderina. I think she can get things cheap, lead, kick and run a big race at $10. From 8, Hibiscus Lady, they backed this horse really heavily first up off the back of that strong first up winner. Strong trial win. She's a soft track winner, a heavy track winner, and she should get a gun run. 9, Dr. J looks the progressive 3-year-old coming through, and 10 playing games. I agree, 1400 metres needs to be ticked, but she's going pretty well. 11, 8, 9, 10.
That was a phenomenal win by Hibiscus Lady last start. They're wide over the pace there and delivered a cracking victory first up there. But we saw that last campaign as well, and Scott Embry made a point about that. And then the next up run wasn't anywhere near at the same rating. So just sort of taking that into consideration for one reason or another. I went Dr. J. I'm thinking that Russian Sniper, and I agree with you, sometimes it's difficult to try and, lace up some of that West Speed Platinum form.
1400 metres for him?
Well, he's out of a family that stayed.
Be interesting to see whether either of these horses go to the final next Saturday, because I think the West Speed Platinum final over 100,000 is over 1400 metres.
It is.
And it's next Saturday, so both Valderina and Russian Sniper are eligible for that, so perhaps they'll be going to today's race and backing up into it.
What do you do with Californication? Unbelievably good first up in Kalgoorlie in that Sky Provincial Series heat. Came to the final and had no luck whatsoever.
No.
Just never ever saw daylight, and then got caught deep last start from barrier 14. Drawn awkwardly again today. Birthday boy Luke Campbell in the saddle. But does get some weight relief, which will be significant.
He does, and he was hard in the market last start, and you can understand why, given what he'd produced in his 2 runs to that point. I've got him in my numbers, but I lent the way of what looks to be a very progressive 3-year-old, that being Dr. J, from a good gate second up for Steve and Steph. We know that they strike at a pretty good clip. So 9 on top from 8, Hibiscus Lady. Hard not to be taken with what this veteran mare did fresh, so you would think there's genuine fitness benefits from that. And if that's the case, Brad Parnham in the saddle gets a gun run. 3, Ablo, horse that Peter brings down from Kalgoorlie. He's going particularly well. And
agree.
I think you just cannot go to sleep on him. You're getting a $9 quote about him, and 5, Californication. He'll need a good steer, but he is very, very talented. 9, 8, 3 and 5.
I'm 9 on top as well there. I've gone here with Dr. J. I'll put Russian Sniper in with the step to the 1400 and agree with you completely about Ablo. I thought that if there was half a knockout in the race, it could have been Ablo from the Goldfields. Comes with a big finishing burst. Californication the other. Couldn't have them all in there, so we had to just lower Valderina down the order and also Hibiscus Lady. But not to say for a moment that both can't legitimately win the 7th event of the day.
11 from Big Red, 8, 9 and 10. Digby 9, 8, 3, 5. And Darren has gone 9, 2, 3 and 5 to race number 7. Looking at race 8, 7 to 4 start time for the Amelia Park Belmont Guineas, listed over 1,600 with the emergency not needed. And Russian to the Bar is in a point to 12. $4.20 to $4 Brave Spirit, 126 Ancient Guidance. Cool Memories now 13, 61 King's Parade. My Jimmy hit 31, back into 16, 51. We Rate You, and also I Dreamed a Dream. Dreamtime Jeans at 34, 26 Ton of Grunt. Only Us 151, Sapphire Street 13, 6 into 480 The Boss Lady. Love and War 850 into 440, Lyrical Angel 31, and 850 for Petrushka.
Very open guineas in the market, suggesting that with Brave Spirit $4 in betting, $4.40 Love and War, The Boss Lady at $4.80 there. So cramped in the betting. And Petrushka, who adds a whole lot of interest there, coming out of a very impressive maiden victory. And Willie Pike on board, going for his 5th victory in the Belmont Guineas there. But I think, as we mentioned last time around, if this race was to be won on absolute toughness and grit, I reckon that Brave Spirit can nearly do this again.
I would have preferred it to be a little bit wetter for Brave Spirit, to be fair. He is 2 wins, 2 seconds from his 4 goes on soft ground, and doing the form for this meeting, Michael, I was thinking with the forecast that we might have been on a 7, could even be venturing into the 8 range. Now we are on a 5, and the worst of the weather looks to have already passed. So I'm not saying we're going to be upgraded to a 4, but it's going to be a firm enough track. So it'll be interesting to see how he fares on that. Now, he is a good track winner, so there's no blues there, but Steve Wolfe and Sean McGrady have been adamant all the way through, the wetter the better for this bloke.
Right, okay. Well, that is, I guess, a little bit of a concern, but I actually made him the best of the day, despite it being a pretty open race on paper. I think at $4 he's over the odds still. I've been pretty impressed with what he's been able to do his last 2 starts. He did it a different way. They absolutely crawled 2 starts ago, and he was too good for them. Then last start, geez, they went fast. The first half of that race, I think, was 20 lengths faster than the last half of that race.
Much quicker than the norm, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Tempo of that race.
Yeah, but he was sniggled out the whole way, which you can understand, considering how fast they went. But the way he found the line, I think 1,600 metres is going to be right up his alley. And a horse like the Boss Lady has to, visually, probably should have won the race, but 1,600 metres still has to tick that box. Probably said it was near last. Sapphire Street similarly. I thought this set up really well for Brave Spirit, and I actually had the main danger in as Love and War from the Good Gate, who should get a pie run.
Okay, so you're bullish about Brave Spirit. We'll load your numbers in here.
Brave Spirit, I think he's well weighted, well suited, and 1,600 metres is a tick. So I'm 2 from 14 in Love and War, 13 at the Boss Ladies. I love her. She's a really nice filly. And 12 in Sapphire Street, next best. 2, 14, 13, 12.
Could be the knockout blow. Sapphire Street's at good value at $13 there. Was coming off 42 days before that run in the Racken Tour. I love the run, and I thought that maybe with a bit of average luck going its way, sticky gate, I know, but this horse was in terrific form going into that race, the Racken Tour.
I prefer her at 14, but I've actually gone exactly the same as Michael, 2, 14, 13 and 12. And Sapphire Street, be no knock though. You know, she'll need a cuddle, and she'll need to be presented at the right time. But we have seen her go through her gears so very impressively previously. She's an 80 rater. Because of the conditions of the race, she gets 54.5, so she's really well in for her talent levels. But thinking Brave Spirit off what we've seen thus far and what he did a fortnight ago in the traditional lead-up, he's the way to go. 2:14, 13 and 12.
Ability will take you so far. Guts, determination will take you even further, and I think that he's got both. So I'm going to go to Brave Spirit to beat number 12, Sapphire Street. This is the knockout blow for mine. And then 16, I am going to include the horse who has only won a maiden, but I like what we've seen so far. That she's a more than ready, and Pike sticks here. He's got a fabulous record in this race. I think that she might have the makings of a horse that will go to a far better level.
Oh, look, Luke Fernie's on record earlier this week said this horse will be winning, this horse being Russian to the Bar, will be winning races over Ascot in the Carnival. Now, it's audacious placement, 1,000 to 1,600. I'll be fascinated to see what the market does with him and how he goes.
Okay, he's another good type, but Petrushka's my next pick. 16, then 13, the Boss Lady. And Love and War clearly has got upside there. And look, I mean, if it had been, and there's a lot of ifs in all of this, but if it had been much, much wetter there, I wouldn't have even minded putting Ton of Grunt in as a bit of a long shot there into your mind.
I was thinking that with Lyrical Angel, if it was, I think that filly's got a bit of upside too.
Yeah, there's a few that could have certainly fit into that criteria. It most
Absolutely.
Indeed is the Belmont Guineas today, a great feature there, Matty.
So in agreement with the top tip, 2, 14, 13, 12 numbers from both Mick and Digby, and 2, then 12, 16 and 13 from Darren. With the curtain coming down at 4:30, race 9 is the Sweps handicap, and they go 1,300 metres without any scratchings. Benji's at 19, Holy Ghost 41, War Gem 20, 6 into 5.50, Fluoro Neuro, Noteworthy's at 8.50, 2.70 now, in from $3.30, Burberry. Laquetta's Gift at 23, 11 Pray Again, Diamba 9.50 from 11, 51 Category 3, He's Gold 21, 8.50 from 9 Mistrakova, Nobel Lawrence at 41, 201 Under the Gun, Zero Demerits 71.
Okay, Diggs, I can see that you're chomping on the bridle there to give us a selection in the last. You must have something for us to round out the day. No?
No, well, I do. I'm just trying to work out how to articulate it. What did we make of the 2 runs of Grant Nalana's charges here, that being Fluoro Neuro and also Burberry?
Burberry, I thought. Oh, sorry.
No, well, I was about to say Fluoro Neuro looked very flat. Did nothing from my point of view.
He looked gone, and then he came again late.
I think he's a horse you almost need to ride dead. You just need to ride super cold. All of his best performances have been. I don't know if he's the easiest horse to get along with either. So perhaps just riding him cold, which from the gate they might be dictated to a little bit today, which is a bit of a concern. But I think he might just be one of those horses that you just can't really get into him early and let him find the line. And Burberry.
What about the stablemates run?
Well, I wasn't on first up, so I thought it was a terrific run. But if you were aboard, you probably would have been a bit dirty with the horse. So it was nothing wrong, just couldn't muster.
He just didn't go. And it's not as if he's not a fresh horse. It's not as if he's not effective over 1,000. He just wouldn't go early, and then he was very good late.
Jury's out.
I think 1,200. He's just looking for further. Burberry. I thought it was a terrific run, considering the way he found the line.
Yeah.
He had to bide his time and go around that other horse on the straight as well. And he did have 2 trials leading into that, so perhaps the edge was taken off him. His previous preparations, he'd been either first up, no trial, and won, or on a heavy track as well, or he'd only had the 1 trial. So he had 2 leading into that. I think 1,000 is just a bit too short for him now. So he gets a good gate up to 1,200 metres, run under his belt. I think he'll be hard to beat. I thought it was actually, just even though he ran 4th as a $1.85 favourite, I thought it was a black book type of run.
Sorry to correct you, Michael, he's 1,300.
Oh, sorry, 1,300 I should say.
Yeah, so you would think that, that, I know he hasn't won past 12, so that should work in his favour, but gee whiz, the market's been quite keen on him, but I just sort of worked around Burberry. I actually settled up with Fluoro Neuro, so...
Well, I've got neither in my top 4.
Neither in your top 4?
No, I've gone wide. I looked at quite a few in this race here. And the one that I have taken a bit of a shine to so far this campaign has come up terrific, is Noteworthy.
Yep.
It's an each-way play in the last. I think 1,300 being a big tick, given the fact that...
Pure wet tracker.
Yeah, wet track and 14, pardon me, to a mile's been very good for this horse. I think you'll see a horse strong at the line, as it indicated last start to the informed Twain's Angel, no less.
And his yard's going very well, isn't it, Michaels? It's had a really good little run the last month or so.
And I think if Pat can, just get him back there and find the right one to follow through, I thought Noteworthy was a nice each-way play in the last event. Yep. I'm going that way. Another one here that carries the lowest weight of her career is Miss Strakova. She caught my eye as well. First up, no trial, dropping down to 52 kilos this afternoon. And she's more than competitive second up in a preparation, so don't leave her out. Another one here, and significantly, Brad Parnham back aboard Pray Again. All 3 wins have been with Brad in the saddle.
Trial was good.
Very, very good.
Yep.
Actually won this race, this day, last year on a heavy 8. So that's worthy of taking into consideration.
Over 1,300 or over 14, I think that may have been.
That was over... was it either 14 or 16th? No, I'm not quite sure. It might have been 1,400 metres. I think you could be right. It was on a heavy 8, I know that.
Yep.
So, look, anyway, it goes in there. Otherwise, we could just be waxing lyrical all day about those sorts of things. And I think the other one here that maybe we need to have a look at, I think it was a good trial as well. Same trial, as Pray Again, as D'Amber.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I just think there's a heap of horses you could make a case for.
Yeah, don't disagree, but I think Burberry I think he's a nice enough horse, and I'm happy enough to follow him off that first up effort up to the more suitable 1,300. So 6, 5, 11 and 4 for me. Burberry from Noteworthy, Horror Gate, but I like her on a wet track. 11 in He's Gold, I think leads quite cheaply here and is without of it at a big price. And 4, Fluoro Neuro. Might want it wetter, might want to draw wider so he can be ridden colder, but he still goes in. 6, 5, 11, 4.
All right, Diggs.
4, 5, 6, 8 for me. Fluoro Neuro, the second of Grant and Alana's runners, as far as the market is concerned, is the way I'm going. From 5, Noteworthy. I agree with what you're saying, Darren. She's racing in particular good order. You'd like to think, given that she was so long between that first up run, or, a month between the first up run to the second up run, now a fortnight after running an eye-catching second to Twain's Angel, she is going to be better again. 6, Burberry, and 8, Pray Again. I think Brad Parnham's given the market a bit of a lead here by electing to ride this fellow who can be a little bit hit and miss, but his best is okay. 4, 5, 6 and 8.
Your numbers?
Mine in the last.
Five.
I'm going to go with Noteworthy, and I've marked it down ahead of the 12, Mr. Cova, 8, Pray Again, 9, D'Amber. So 5, 12, 8, 9, Matt.
So Michael is 6 to beat 5, 11 and 4. Digby is 4, 5, 6 and 8. And Darren is 5, then 12, 8 and 9.
Let's check in on the best for the day. We'll let you fire off, Big Red.
Race 8 in the feature, I like Brave Shot. Race 8, number 2.
Okay, Brave Shot for you.
I am with Dr. J in race 7, Darren, so that will be race 7, number 9. Dr. J as the best there today.
I'm starting to warm to Satino, race 4, number 3, but Brave Shot in the Guineas as well. And my little long shot this afternoon is Scenic George in a very even 2-year-old plate. Getting out towards that $14, $15 mark there too. In fact, I think it was a bit longer, got to $18 at one stage. But look, it might not win, but I'm sure the way it races, it'll be competitive and will run into the top 3 at the very least in race number 2. So, interesting day of racing. We found a bit of value there in some of those races, a reflection of just how good the meeting is, the depth of the meeting is. And looking forward to bringing you the action with an 11:24 a.m. commencement. We're not far away from rejoining you as well. You'll be on board today, filling in for Scotty on STC.
Yes, we may be on STC all day as well with the abandonment of Sydney.
Okay, so keep an eye out for that there as well. Diggs, you'll be doing what Diggs does on a Saturday?
Yes, go the Kangas.
Okay.
Kanga.
Yes, ruse.
Good luck to your boys as well there, and thanks to Matty as well, of course, always an integral part of the Inside Running team here on a Saturday morning. And thank you indeed for your company. Hopefully there's a few winners amongst those selections for the day, but we're looking forward to a very interesting card highlighted by the Amelia Park Belmont Guineas of 2024. Matty?